What if I told you that your life, every stumble, every silence, every regret, is not a mistake, but a note in a vast celestial symphony? That even your darkest hours are not detours, but deliberate pauses in the music, allowing you to hear the quieter truths within. You are not a broken story waiting to be edited. You are a living manuscript written in rhythms deeper than thought, orchestrated by a universe that never once lost its place in the dance. There is no wrong turn, only choreography unknown to the mind, but familiar to the soul. The pain you've carried, the past you feared, these are not burdens to escape, but invitations to awaken, to listen more closely, to move more freely. So let us not rush to erase what has been. Instead, let us remember, you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. And in being whole, you are already divine. Let's talk about something we rarely give ourselves permission to believe. You don't have to stay who you've always been. I know, most of us walk around with this quiet pressure to be consistent. We cling to the identities we've built, the choices we've made, and the past we can't change. We say things like, well, that's just who I am, as if the person we were 5 years ago has the final say in who we're allowed to become. But here's the truth. Life doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in cycles. It moves in cycles. Just like the moon waxes and wanes, just like the tides rise and fall, we're meant to grow, to retreat, to shift, to begin again. You are not broken for needing change. You are simply alive. You see, nature never apologizes for its seasons. Trees don't feel guilty for losing their leaves in the fall. Caterpillars don't cling to who they were before the cocoon. So why do we? Why do we keep demanding of ourselves this permanent, polished, unchanging self as if we're machines instead of miracles? The idea that we're supposed to stay the same, to keep one identity and hold it together no matter how much we've outgrown it, that's not strength. That's fear. And it's time we stop treating fear like it's truth. Here's the hard part, though. Reinvention doesn't start with action. It starts with permission. You have to give yourself permission to evolve, to change your mind, to let go of what no longer fits. And that kind of permission, it doesn't come from the world, it comes from within. But the moment you give yourself that grace, things begin to move, and not all at once. Reinvention isn't a light switch. It's a sunrise. First, there's just a faint glow on the edge of your awareness, a nudge, a feeling that something deeper is calling. And if you pay attention, if you stop trying to outrun it or shut it down, then that light grows slowly, quietly, but it grows. Now, this part's important. You're not starting over from scratch. You're starting from wisdom. Everything you've been through, even the messiest chapters, especially the ones filled with regret, has shaped your capacity to grow. The past isn't dead weight. It's compost. It's what the new you grows from. And yes, it's going to feel awkward. Of course it is. Anytime we shed an old identity, one we've worn for years, it's like taking off a heavy coat we forgot we were even wearing. At first, the air feels cold, vulnerable. You'll be tempted to put the old version of you right back on, but don't. Breathe into the discomfort. That's the sign you're in motion. And listen, don't wait for the world to give you permission. Don't wait for the regret to fully go away. It won't. Not all at once. But it will soften the moment you stop fighting it and start learning from it. The second you stop asking, why did that happen to me? And start asking, what is life trying to grow in me now? Everything changes. And no, reinvention doesn't mean becoming someone totally new. It means becoming someone more true, someone whose life matches their spirit, not just their survival. You don't have to fake it anymore. You don't have to carry identities that don't fit. You don't owe the past a lifelong contract. You owe your soul a chance to breathe. So here's what I want you to remember when you feel stuck. When you feel like change is too big or too late, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are in a season, and like all seasons, this one will shift. Let it. Because the most powerful thing you can ever do is stop waiting for change and become it. Let's talk about regret. Not the kind you casually mention in passing, like ordering the wrong thing at a restaurant. I'm talking about the real kind, the kind that sits in your chest, the kind you wake up with in the middle of the night, The kind you try to outrun by staying busy, by staying distracted. That kind. Every one of us has something. A moment we wish we could redo. Words we wish we could take back. A version of ourselves we cringe to remember. Maybe it was the job you didn't take, the relationship you stayed in too long or left too soon. Maybe it was how long you spent pretending you were fine. Whatever it is, you know what regret feels like. And here's what nobody tells you. Regret isn't the enemy. We've been taught to hate it, to hide it, to cover it up with fake positivity. But regret is one of the most human emotions there is. You feel regret not because you're weak or broken, but because you care. You care about who you were. You care about who you want to be. And that ache you feel when you look back, that's not punishment. That's awareness. That's growth. That's your soul saying, we can do better now. See, most people treat regret like a prison sentence. They wear it like a label. I messed up, so that must be who I am. But regret is not a definition. It's a signal. It's life's way of grabbing your attention, saying, hey, let's not abandon ourselves again like that. It's not here to shame you. It's here to guide you. And when you start to see it that way, something changes. Regret becomes less of a wound and more of a compass. It points you toward what matters. It shows you your values, your boundaries, your needs. You can learn from it. You can grow because of it. But you cannot grow if you're stuck reliving it like a movie on repeat. And look, I get it. Sometimes regret feels louder than anything else. You can have 100 good moments, and one past mistake sneaks in and steals the whole show. It whispers in your ear, you'll never outrun this. But here's what I want you to hear louder than that voice. You are not what you regret. You are what you choose to do next. You can't go back and change the past. But you can change your relationship with it. You can stop using it as a weapon against yourself. You can look at it with honest eyes and say, yeah, that happened. And I learned something. And I'm still worthy of moving forward. This isn't about denial. It's about perspective. Regret doesn't have to mean the end of your story. It can mean the beginning of your transformation. Think about it. What if the very thing you're ashamed of is the exact thing that softens you, humbles you, wakes you up? What if the moment you wish you could erase is the reason you now have the clarity and conviction to change? You don't get to rewrite what happened, but you get to rewrite what it means. You get to say, that mistake, that was a turning point. That failure, that's when I started paying attention. That moment I disappointed myself, that's when I decided I deserved better. And if you've been carrying something heavy, something you've never said out loud, I want you to hear this. It's okay to forgive yourself. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. Forgiveness isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about letting yourself move forward. Because the longer you hold yourself hostage to regret, the longer you delay the life you're meant to live. And you don't have to do that anymore. You've punished yourself long enough. You've learned. You've grown, and now it's time to turn the page, because the only thing regret is asking of you is this: don't waste the lesson. You ever notice how uncomfortable we get with silence? We fill every quiet space with noise, music, scrolling podcasts, meetings, small talk. And it's not because we love the sound. It's because we're scared of what silence might say to us, what it might show us. But here's the thing, the quiet moments, the in-between seasons, those are where reinvention really begins. Not in the noise, not in the hustle, not in the part of your life where things feel clear and easy. No. Reinvention starts when things go quiet, when the plan falls apart, when the direction is unclear, when you've let go of what you thought you wanted, and you're not yet sure what comes next. And that space, that silence, it's sacred. We treat it like a problem, like we're broken for feeling lost. But what if that pause, what feels like a nothing, is actually the exact moment life starts whispering the truth? What if the silence isn't an absence, but an invitation? Think about it. After a deep breath, there's a moment of stillness. After a wave crashes, the water settles. Between every heartbeat, there's a pause. That pause is not the end. It's part of the rhythm. It's part of the music. So why do we freak out when our lives do the same thing? Because we've been told that if we're not moving forward, we're falling behind, that if we don't have a plan, we're failing. But here's what I've learned. Sometimes standing still is the most powerful move you can make. Sometimes silence is the only way the next chapter can start writing itself. Oh, quote. In those quiet seasons, you start to hear your own voice again. Not the voice shaped by expectations or pressure or fear. I'm talking about your voice, the one buried beneath all the noise, the one that remembers what you love, the one that knows what needs to heal, the one that's been waiting patiently for you to slow down long enough to listen. But I won't lie, it's uncomfortable. We're so used to measuring progress by how fast we're going, how much we're producing, how loud our lives are. So when things go still, when you feel disconnected, uncertain, maybe even numb, you assume something's wrong. But what if nothing's wrong? What if you're just in the cocoon? You don't yank open a chrysalis and expect a butterfly to be ready. It's quiet in there. It's dark. It looks like nothing is happening, but everything is happening. That stillness is where the real work begins. So if you're in that space right now, where you feel like life is on pause, where nothing seems to be moving, don't panic. Don't rush to fix it. Don't fill it just to avoid it. That silence, that's where your soul takes inventory. That's where your intuition has room to breathe. That's where you stop chasing the life you thought you needed and start listening for the one that's actually yours. And when you do, when you stop resisting that silence and start sitting with it, you begin to hear something else. You begin to sense that maybe, just maybe, life isn't punishing you. It's preparing you for a deeper, more aligned version of yourself. One that doesn't just move faster, but moves truer. Whereas, here's the truth. The gap between who you were and who you're becoming, it's not empty. It's sacred. And it's in that sacred space where nothing is certain and everything feels up in the air that the most beautiful reinventions are born. So don't rush it. Don't fill the silence with noise just to escape the discomfort. Sit in the stillness. Because sometimes the quiet is where you finally hear who you're meant to become. Let's get something straight. You're not your past. You're not your worst moment, your biggest mistake, or the version of you that didn't know any better. You're not the decisions you made when you were scared, confused, overwhelmed, or just trying to survive. But we forget that, don't we? We look back on those moments, sometimes daily, and we judge ourselves with the full awareness of who we are now. And we say things like, oh, why did I do that? Or I should have known better, but you didn't know better. But you didn't know better. Not then. You knew what you knew. You made the best decision you could with the tools you had at the time. And now? You're different. You've grown. You've seen more. And that's exactly the point. You are not the choices you made. You're the awareness that can now choose differently. And that awareness, that's the real you. See, most of us carry around these old stories like name tags we forgot to take off. The anxious one, screw up, the quitter, the one who always gets it wrong. But those aren't identities. Those are snapshots. Moments in time. They're not permanent. They're not fixed. But the more we rehearse them, the more we start to believe they define us. You want to reinvent yourself? Start here. Stop identifying with who you were and start noticing who you are right now. Because right now, you're not stuck. You're not trapped in some loop. You're aware. You're listening. You're searching. That's consciousness. That's transformation already happening. And here's something that will change your life if you really hear it. The past isn't who you are. It's what you've lived through. And living through something doesn't make it your identity. It makes it your teacher. Now I know what you might be thinking, but what if people still see me as that old version of myself? And yeah, they might. People love to keep you in the box they first met you in. It makes them feel safe, predictable, but that's their work, not yours. You're not here to convince other people you've changed. You're here to live like you've changed. And trust me, when you do, the right people will notice. The challenge is we keep looking at ourselves through the lens of history instead of possibility. We replay old memories, old conversations. We rehearse our shame like it's a script we have to keep performing. But that's not growth. That's self-punishment. Growth is when you say, I see who I was. I understand why I acted that way. But I'm not living there anymore. You can honor your past without dragging it into your future. You can carry the lesson without carrying the label. And once you really get that, Once you understand that who you are is not the same as what you've been through, everything starts to open up. You stop reacting from wounds and start responding from wisdom. You stop proving your worth and start protecting your peace. You stop waiting for someone to tell you you've changed and start living in a way that proves it to yourself. It's a shift. Not in what you do, but in how you see yourself. And that shift, that's the foundation of every reinvention. So let's make this real. Right now, picture the version of yourself you keep punishing, the one who made the mistake, the one who failed, the one who said the thing, did the thing, or stayed too long.
Yeah.
Picture that version of you and then say this out loud in your mind. Thank you for trying. I see you, I forgive you, and I release you because they got you here. And now it's your turn to lead. Your turn to take the awareness you have now and make something beautiful out of it. Your turn to stop being the memory and start being the movement. You are not the story. You are the storyteller. Let's be honest. When life falls apart, when things don't go the way we planned, our first reaction is almost always the same. Why is this happening to me? We take it personally. We think we've failed. We assume we're being punished or that the universe or life or God or whatever you believe in has turned its back on us. That question. But here's a perspective that changed my life. What if it's not happening to you, but through you? What if the things you didn't choose, the challenges, the heartbreak, the disappointment, aren't obstacles, but instructions? What if the breakdown isn't life being cruel, but life being clear? See, we forget that the universe doesn't speak in the language of convenience. It speaks in the language of growth. And growth, it rarely feels comfortable. It usually shows up disguised as difficulty. That job loss, that breakup, that moment when everything seemed to fall apart, it didn't come to destroy you. It came to wake you up. The truth is, life is always nudging us back into alignment with who we really are. But we miss it when we're too focused on what we thought was supposed to happen. We think we're being punished when really we're being redirected. We think we failed when really we're being invited into something deeper, something more honest, more true. Think about it. How many times have you gone through something that made no sense in the moment, but looking back, it changed everything for the better? That's not luck. That's guidance. That's life rearranging things for your highest good, even if you can't see it yet. And I get it. When you're in the middle of it, when everything's uncertain or falling apart, that perspective can feel impossible. But that's where faith comes in. And I'm not talking about religious faith necessarily. I'm talking about the faith that says, I may not understand this yet, but I trust that it's leading me somewhere meaningful. Here's something I want you to try. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is life trying to teach me right now? That one shift changes everything. It moves you from victim mode into curiosity, from fear into power. And when you step into that mindset, you start to notice that even the hard stuff, even the pain, has something to offer. Sometimes the things you regret the most are actually the things that broke open the strongest, most resilient version of you. Sometimes the silence, the loss, the uncertainty, that's where you remembered what really matters. Look, nobody wants to go through the hard seasons. Nobody wants the chaos, the confusion, the detours. But it's usually in those moments, when everything slows down or breaks down, that you hear something deeper. That quiet voice inside you, the one that's been trying to get your attention for years, that's when it finally gets through. You don't need every answer. You just need to stay open. Open to the idea that life isn't random. Open to the possibility that there's intelligence behind it all. That the timing of things, the delays, the endings, the doors that didn't open, maybe they weren't mistakes. Maybe they were protection. Maybe they were grace in disguise. When you start to believe that life is for you, even when it's hard, you start living differently. You stop fighting the present and start listening to it. You stop clinging to the old story and start making space for a new one. You start asking better questions. You start making braver choices. You start showing up like someone who knows their life has purpose, even when the road gets messy. And if you're in a season right now where it all feels like too much, if you're questioning everything, please hear this. You're not being punished. You're being shaped. And sometimes the shaping hurts. But that doesn't mean it's not sacred, because the universe is not here to break you. It's here to build you into someone even you haven't met yet. Here's the thing about reinvention. It's not a one-time event. It's not a magic moment where you suddenly flip a switch and become a brand new person. Reinvention is a process, a messy, beautiful, ongoing process of becoming who you're meant to be. And that process, it's not always easy. Because every time you step into a new version of yourself, something old has to die. Habits, beliefs, comfort zones. And the truth is, part of you will resist, because change feels like loss. Even if it's loss of something that wasn't really serving you, it still feels like loss. That's why reinvention takes courage. It takes patience. It takes a willingness to sit with discomfort and uncertainty. It takes a commitment to keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up. Keep choosing yourself. Keep saying yes to the person you're becoming. Every day is a chance to rewrite your story, to try again, to make a different choice, to leave behind what no longer fits and step into something new. And the more you practice that, the easier it gets. The more you realize that reinvention isn't about tearing yourself down, it's about building yourself up, about peeling back the layers that hide your true self and letting that person shine. And when you live like that, something amazing happens. You become a force of possibility. A living example of what's possible when you refuse to be defined by your past or limited by your fears. People start to notice, they start to see your courage, your resilience, your growth, and that inspires them. It lights a spark in them to start their own journey. Because reinvention isn't just personal, it's contagious, it spreads. It ripples out into your relationships, your community, your world. So yes, it's a process, a daily choice, a commitment to yourself and your future. And it's one of the most powerful things you'll ever do, too. Because when you choose to reinvent yourself, you're choosing to live with intention, to live with purpose, to live as the fullest expression of who you really are. And that's a gift to yourself and to everyone around you. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the fear to go away. Don't wait for the stars to align. Start now, because the world needs who you're becoming right here, right now. And the most courageous thing you can do is to keep becoming.